Raymond Childs III is sentenced to 360 years in prison for killing 6 people, including a pregnant woman. The violent mass shooting happened January 2021.
It's 4 a.m. on a cold January morning in Indianapolis. A 15-year-old boy is running for his life through the dark streets. Blood pours from his arm and leg. He's been shot twice. He's gasping for air, looking back over his shoulder, terrified. And before he ran, he begged for his life. "Please, don't kill me. I can give you $40. He was willing to give up his lifetime savings just to live. The shooter looked him in the eyes and pulled the trigger anyway. Who was this killer? A stranger? A gang member? A home invader? No. It was his own brother, his 17-year-old brother. Inside the house he just escaped from, 6 people lay dead. His father, his stepmother, his 18-year-old brother, his 13-year-old sister, his brother's pregnant girlfriend, and her unborn baby. An entire family wiped out in one night. All because of a curfew argument. Welcome to Crazy Dark Files. Right now, there are thousands of young people living in homes where conflict and violence are building, completely unaware that things could turn deadly in an instant. If you want to help spread awareness about family violence and the warning signs that could save innocent lives, then please like this video, share it, and subscribe to this channel. Your action now could help protect another family who might be in danger. January 24, 2021. Indianapolis, Indiana. Indianapolis is known as the crossroads of America. It's a city full of history, culture, and life. But it's also a city that struggles with crime. The violent crime rate here is higher than the national average. Gun violence is a real problem, and on this January morning, Indianapolis would witness one of its most shocking crimes ever. The location? A home on Adams Street on the east side of the city. This wasn't just any house. This was the Childs family home, and it should have been filled with music and laughter. You see, the Child family was talented. They were musicians. The father, Raymond Childs Jr., was a music producer. He ran his own label and brought his kids into the business. They performed together, they recorded songs together, they even had their own music group. The family was close. At least, that's what everyone thought. Even Elijah's girlfriend, Kiara Hawkins, was part of the family. She was 19 and 9 months pregnant. They were all excited about the baby. From the outside, everything looked perfect. But on that night, the music stopped forever. Let's talk about who the Childs family really was. Raymond Childs Jr. was 42 years old. He was a music producer and the founder of Juice Reel Records. But he was more than just a businessman. He was a father who truly cared about his kids and his community. Raymond Jr. had a vision. He wanted to keep young people off the streets. He knew that Indianapolis had problems with violence and crime. So he created programs to help. He started New Street, New Path, and New Wave, Inc. These were youth programs that used music to give kids hope and direction. He brought his own children into the music business. He taught them how to perform, how to record, and how to work together. Music wasn't just a hobby for the Childs family, it was their bond. Kezzie Childs was also 42. She was Raymond Jr.'s wife and a devoted stepmother. She worked right alongside her husband to create a loving home for all the children. Kezzie didn't just accept the kids, she embraced them. She even welcomed Elijah's girlfriend, Kiara, into the family. Kezzie wanted everyone to feel safe and supported. Elijah Childs was 18 years old. He was a rapper with real talent. People who saw him perform said he had energy and charisma. He was deeply involved in the family's music projects. Elijah loved what he did, and he had big dreams for his future. But Elijah wasn't just focused on music. He was also in love. His girlfriend, Kiara Hawkins, was pregnant. They were about to have a baby boy. They had already picked out a name, Kaios. Elijah was excited to become a father. He talked about it all the time. Rita Childs was only 13 years old. She was the youngest daughter and the baby of the family. Rita was musically gifted, just like her siblings. She participated in family events and performances. She had her whole life ahead of her. She was still in school, still figuring out who she wanted to be. Kiara Hawkins was 19 years old. She was Elijah's girlfriend and she was 9 months pregnant. Kiara was considered part of the child's family. She lived with them. She ate with them. She was there for the music sessions and the family moments. Kiara was excited about becoming a mother. She and Elijah were planning their future together. They talked about raising their son and building a life. She was just days away from giving birth. Raymond Childs III was 17 years old. He was also musically talented and part of the family group. On the surface, he seemed close with his siblings. They made music together, they performed together, they spent a lot of time as a family. But there were problems. Raymond III had issues with his father. There were arguments about discipline and boundaries. Raymond III didn't always follow the rules. He would sneak out, he would push back. The tension between him and his father was growing. Xavier Childs was 15 years old. He was the youngest son. Quiet, observant. He loved his family, and he would be the only one who lived to tell the story. This was a family that performed together, celebrated together, and supported each other's dreams. But beneath the surface, trouble was building, and it would end in unimaginable tragedy. The night of January 23, 2021 started like many others in the Childs household, but it would end in horror. Raymond III snuck out of the house that night. He didn't ask permission, he just left and went to his girlfriend's house. He planned to spend the night there, but his father, Raymond Jr., found out he was gone. Raymond Jr. called his son and told him to come home right now. Raymond III and his girlfriend called an Uber. They rode back to the Adams Street home together. When Raymond III walked through the door, his father was waiting. Raymond Jr. was angry. His son had disrespected him. He had broken the house rules. This wasn't the first time. The two argued. Raymond Jr. told his son, "You'll be in trouble later." Then he made a decision. He kicked Raymond III out of the house. Raymond III left, but something inside him had changed. It was now between 2 and 3 a.m. Raymond III showed up at his girlfriend's house again. This time he was carrying 2 bags of clothes. He told her his dad had kicked him out. His girlfriend didn't think much of it. She figured it was just another family argument. Things would cool down. Back at the Adams Street home, everyone was settling in for the night. Elijah and Kiara were in bed together. Elijah was watching television. Kiara, 9 months pregnant, was lying beside him. They were comfortable, safe. Rita was asleep in her bedroom. She was just 13. She had school in the morning. Raymond Jr. and Kezzy were in the basement. They had no idea what was about to happen. Xavier was in the laundry room. He was the youngest. Quiet, just trying to stay out of the way. The house was quiet. Everyone thought the drama was over for the night. They were wrong. Around 30 minutes after Raymond III arrived at his girlfriend's house, something happened. He left again. This time, he didn't come back empty-handed. Raymond III returned to the Adams Street home, but he wasn't there to apologize. He wasn't there to talk things out. He was armed. He had a 9mm handgun and an AK-47 style rifle. The house was still quiet. His family had no idea he was back. They didn't hear him come in. They didn't know he was moving through the rooms. And they had no idea what he was about to do. What Raymond Childs III did in the next few minutes would destroy his entire family and leave one brother fighting for his life. Raymond III went upstairs first. He walked into Elijah's bedroom. Elijah was lying in bed watching television. Kiara was beside him. She was 9 months pregnant, resting comfortably next to the man she loved. They didn't see it coming. Raymond III raised the 9mm handgun and shot Elijah once in the back of the head. Elijah died instantly. Kiara was next. He shot her once through her right ear. She also died instantly. There was no warning, no argument, no chance to defend themselves. Just 2 young people, gone in seconds. Kiara was rushed to the hospital later, but it was too late. Doctors performed an emergency C-section to try to save her baby Chaos. But the baby didn't survive either. 3 lives, taken in moments. Raymond III moved to the next bedroom. Rita was asleep. She was only 13 years old. She had no idea what was happening in the house. Raymond III entered her room and shot her once in the chest with the AK-47. Rita was left on her bedroom floor, a child, innocent, her life stolen before it even began. Raymond III then went downstairs to the basement. His father, Raymond Jr., and his stepmother, Kezzy, were there. He raised the AK-47 and fired multiple shots into their bodies. The bullets tore through their torsos, but before Raymond Jr. died, he said something. His last words were heard by Xavier, who was hiding nearby. "I'm sorry, Raymond. I love you." A father's final plea to his son. Words of love, even in his last breath. It didn't matter. Raymond III kept shooting. Both parents were killed. Xavier had been in the laundry room the entire time. He heard everything. He heard the gunshots from upstairs. 2 or 3 at first. Then he heard his sister Rita scream. "He shot Elijah!" Then more gunshots. Then silence. Xavier stayed on the floor, frozen in fear. He didn't know what to do. He was just 15 years old. When the shooting finally stopped, Xavier made a decision. He had to run. He bolted out of the house as fast as he could. But Raymond III saw him. Raymond chased his younger brother into the street. Xavier was terrified. He turned around and begged for his life. "I can give you $40. Please don't kill me." Raymond III didn't say a word. He just looked at Xavier. Then he raised the AK-47 and shot him in the leg. Xavier fell to the ground. Raymond III shot him again, this time in the arm. Then he aimed for Xavier's head and pulled the trigger. He missed. Xavier didn't wait. He got up and ran. Blood poured from his wounds, but he kept going. He ran down the street, block after block, until he reached a neighbor's porch. He collapsed there, barely alive, but alive. Police found him minutes later. He was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. But before he went into surgery, officers asked him one question. "Who did this to you?" Xavier's answer was clear. "My brother, Raymond." After the shooting, Raymond III went back inside the house. He gathered up some clothes. Then he took his father's car and drove back to his girlfriend's house. He acted like nothing had happened. Can you imagine surviving something like this? Xavier Childs witnessed the murder of his entire family and barely escaped with his own life. If this story is gripping you, hit that like button and share this video. More people need to hear this story. And tell us in the comments, how do you think you'd react in Xavier's situation? Neighbors on Adams Street called 911 when they heard the gunshots. Police immediately went to the Adams Street home. What they found inside was horrifying. 5 bodies, all shot, all dead. Raymond Childs Jr., 42, and Kezzy Childs, 42, were in the basement. Both had been shot multiple times in the torso. Upstairs, officers found Elijah Childs, 18, shot once in the back of the head. Next to him was Kiara Hawkins, 19, shot once through her right ear. She was 9 months pregnant. Doctors later delivered her baby, Kaios, by C-section at the hospital. But the baby didn't survive. In another bedroom, they found Rita Childs, 13, shot once in the chest. She was lying on the floor. The weapons used were a 9mm handgun and an AK-47-style rifle. Both weapons had been used upstairs and downstairs. The evidence showed this wasn't random. It was methodical, room by room, victim by victim. Police now had a name, Raymond Childs. They began searching for him. It didn't take long. The next day, January 25, 2021, police found Raymond III at a relative's home on Wyatt Drive in Indianapolis. He was arrested without incident. Officers recovered the murder weapon. They also had cell phone evidence that placed Raymond III at the scene during the time of the shootings. Raymond III's girlfriend gave police a detailed statement. She said Raymond III had come to her house earlier that night. His father had called and told him to come home. Raymond III left and took an Uber back to Adams Street. He returned to her house between 2 and 3 a.m. He was carrying 2 bags of clothes. He told her his dad had kicked him out. About 30 minutes later, she got an alert on her phone. There had been a shooting on Adams Street. She asked Raymond III if he knew anything about it. He said no. Later that day, she convinced him to go to the crime scene. When they got there, Raymond III became nervous. He started crying. She said he acted a clown. She had never seen him like that before. Raymond Childs III was charged with 6 counts of murder. That included the unborn baby Chaos. He was also charged with 1 count of attempted murder for shooting Xavier and 1 count of carrying a handgun without a license. Even though Raymond III was only 17 at the time, he was tried as an adult. The death penalty was off the table because of his age, but life without parole was still possible. The city of Indianapolis was in shock. Mayor Joe Hogsett called the killings an act of evil. IMPD Chief Randall Taylor released a statement. He called it a shocking crime and said the focus should be on the victims and the surviving brother, Xavier. Indianapolis was already dealing with violence. This was one of multiple mass shootings in the city in 2021, but this one hit different because it was a family destroyed by one of their own. Raymond Childs III's first trial began years after the murders. The families of the victims came to court, ready to see justice.
I cannot comprehend the darkness in your heart at that time that led you to commit such an unfortunate act on January 24th. What I do know is that our lives changed forever on this date, and you robbed us of everything we had.
They had waited so long for this moment, but the trial didn't end the way anyone expected. During the proceedings, a witness verbally confronted Raymond III right in front of the jury. The outburst was so disruptive that the judge had no choice. He declared a mistrial. The families were devastated. They would have to go through everything all over again. They would have to relive the trauma, the pain, the loss. The second trial finally began in October 2024. It lasted 5 days. Raymond Childs III, now 21 years old, sat in the courtroom. He listened as prosecutors and defense attorneys argued over what happened that night. The prosecution said the evidence was overwhelming. They presented cell phone data that placed Raymond III at the Adams Street home during the time of the shootings. They showed that the murder weapons were linked to him, and most importantly, they had Xavier. Xavier Childs took the stand and identified his brother in open court. He told the jury exactly what happened. He described hearing the gunshots, hearing his sister scream, hearing his father's last words, "I'm sorry, Raymond. I love you." Xavier told the jury how Raymond III chased him into the street, how he begged for his life, how his own brother shot him in the leg, then the arm, then tried to shoot him in the head. The prosecutor described the killings as methodical, room by room, victim by victim. This wasn't an accident. It wasn't self-defense. It was execution. The defense told a different story. They argued that Raymond was at his girlfriend's house when the murders happened. His father had kicked him out earlier that night. He had no reason to go back. They pointed out that 2 guns were used in the killings. They suggested this meant there were 2 shooters, not 1. They also said there were no fingerprints or DNA on the weapons that linked Raymond III to the crime. The defense brought up Xavier's initial statements to police. They said Xavier told officers he couldn't be sure who the shooter was. They said he used the word they when talking about the shooters, not he. The defense called it a misguided investigation and misidentification. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. Then they came back with their decision. Guilty. Guilty on all counts. 6 counts of murder, 1 count of attempted murder, 1 count of carrying a handgun without a license. Even after the verdict, Raymond III maintained his innocence. He spoke to reporters and said,
I sit here 4 years ago, I'm innocent. It's not a day that goes by where I don't think about them or wish that they was here. Even on my bad days, I tell myself that they're still here.
Raymond III's mother also spoke out. She believed her son was innocent.
Yeah, I believe. So, I don't too much believe justice was served, but I do hope that they do find the real people that did it.
Despite all the evidence, she stood by her son. On March 10, 2025, Raymond Childs III stood before a judge for sentencing. The courtroom was packed. Family members, friends, and community members filled every seat. They had waited years for this moment. The judge handed down the sentence, 360 years in prison. Here's how it broke down. 55 years for each of the 6 murders. That included Raymond Childs Jr., Kezzie Childs, Elijah Childs, Rita Childs, Kiara Hawkins, and her unborn baby, Chaos. 30 years for the attempted murder of Xavier Childs. All sentences would run consecutively. That means one after the other, not at the same time. Raymond Childs III would spend the rest of his life in prison. The judge did not hold back. He called the murders calculated, cunning, and cold blood. With those words, he sent Raymond III to prison for life. Before the sentencing, family members were given the chance to speak. The courtroom was packed, and emotions ran high. One family member said, "You robbed us of everything we had." Another said, "Our lives changed forever on this date." The pain in their voices was clear. This wasn't just about justice. It was about loss. It was about a family that would never be whole again. Prosecutor Ryan Mears also spoke after the sentencing. He said, "What occurred inside that home is as unfathomable today as it was in 2021. He added, "Justice for the victims of this horrific crime." Mears acknowledged that this had been an incredibly difficult journey for the family and friends of the victims. But now at least there was a verdict, there was a sentence, there was some sense of closure. Even at sentencing, Raymond Childs III maintained his innocence. He told the court he planned to appeal his conviction. He showed no remorse, no apology, no acknowledgement of what he had done. To the very end, he insisted he was not guilty. During the trial, a doctor testified about Raymond III's mental health. The doctor said Raymond III suffered from PTSD. According to the testimony, his childhood was filled with complex trauma, abuse, and domestic violence. His defense attorney told the court, "What should have been a place of nurture was instead a place of violence, abuse, and neglect." But does trauma excuse murder? How does a 17-year-old go from being a family member to a family killer? The role of untreated issues in youth violence is real. But it doesn't justify what happened. The trigger that night was a curfew violation. Raymond III snuck out. His father found out and called him home. They argued. Raymond Jr. disciplined his son and kicked him out of the house. It was an argument that escalated beyond comprehension, and Raymond III had access to firearms in a home with unresolved conflict. Raymond Jr. was trying to be a good father. He was setting boundaries. Kezzie was supporting her husband. Elijah, Rita, Kiara, and baby Kaus were completely innocent. And Xavier? He survived. But he carries survivor's guilt and a lifetime of trauma. Warning signs of youth violence are real. Accessible services are important. Schools, healthcare providers, and community groups must prioritize screenings. Counseling for at-risk youth showing distress or behavioral problems can make a difference. Open, honest communication is essential. Creating environments where children feel heard matters. Conflict resolution training and family therapy can help. De-escalating tensions before they become unmanageable is key. There's a difference between discipline and abuse. Secure storage of firearms is critical. Keeping guns inaccessible to minors can prevent tragedy. Gun safety education and stricter enforcement of safe storage laws are necessary. This can prevent impulsive acts of violence. Neighbors, teachers, and friends should report warning signs. Community programs for positive youth engagement help. Music, sports, and mentorship provide healthy outlets. Building resilience in young people is vital. Xavier Childs faces a lifetime of trauma. He needs ongoing counseling and financial assistance. Communities must rally around survivors. We must break the cycle of violence. These lessons could save lives. If you know someone struggling with family conflict, share this video with them and let us know in the comments. What do you think could have prevented this tragedy? Your insights matter. Drop them below. Xavier is the sole survivor. He lives with unimaginable loss every day. But he showed courage by testifying, and now he's on a path to healing. This isn't just a true crime story. It's a warning. Family violence, untreated trauma, and access to weapons are a dangerous combination. Life is fragile. Intervention is important. The child's family's story is a tragedy, but it doesn't have to be in vain. We can learn from this. We can do better. If you're struggling, reach out. If you see someone struggling, speak up. What's your biggest takeaway from this case? Drop it in the comments. Have you ever witnessed family violence in your community? How was it handled? Subscribe if you want more true crime content that goes beyond the headlines. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a story. Share this video. Someone needs to hear this message. Until next time, stay safe, look out for each other, and remember, sometimes the greatest danger comes from the places we least expect.